You know, growing up, there was always this magical number.
Oh, absolutely. The big one.
Right, this ultimate benchmark of having officially made it in America. $100,000.
Yeah, the six-figure threshold.
Exactly. I mean, the
Mhm.
cultural assumption was always that if you could just get your salary to cross that line, the financial struggle was just, permanently over.
You'd have the nice house, the manicured lawn.
The reliable cars in the driveway, the annual vacations, just this impenetrable, stress-free cushion of security.
Right. But today, there is a massive, unavoidable paradox staring us right in the face.
Yeah, earning 100 grand often leaves people feeling completely, utterly broke.
It really represents a profound shift in the modern financial psyche. I mean, you spend years pushing yourself to reach this mountaintop you were told to climb.
Right.
You finally plant your flag, and you look around only to realize you are somehow still in the trenches.
It's like the stress hasn't vanished, it's just changed its shape. You look at your bank account on payday and think, where is it? Where is the actual wealth?
Yeah, the money just seems to evaporate.
And that is exactly what we are digging into for you today. We are looking at excerpts from a really fascinating breakdown titled The Six-Figure Poverty Trap.
It's a great piece.
Our mission for this deep dive is to deconstruct this modern illusion of wealth. We're going to look under the hood and examine the exact invisible mechanisms that are draining that six-figure paycheck before the ink is even dry.
I'm ready.
Okay, let's unpack this.
So it really helps to ground ourselves in the reality that we aren't just looking at random, disconnected expenses here.
Right, it's not just buying too many lattes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The source material outlines a highly interconnected web of financial pressures. We're looking at a structural and psychological trap that specifically snares high earners.
Primarily because of the heavy societal expectations attached to that income bracket.
Yes, exactly.
I love that the word trap is used because that's what it feels like to so many people.
It's a very visceral word.
But to understand how this trap is built, we have to start with the ground you're standing on, because the ground itself is actively shifting beneath your feet.
The macro squeeze.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The foundation of this trap relies on two massive macroeconomic forces: inflation and housing costs.
Which are huge right now.
Think of earning $100,000 today, like running on a treadmill. But you aren't the one controlling the console.
Somebody else is pressing the buttons.
Exactly. Inflation is them just steadily, relentlessly increasing the speed of the belt. The value of your dollar is dropping, so you have to run faster just to stay in the exact same place.
Right.
But then there's housing costs. And housing costs are that same invisible hand reaching over and cranking the incline up to a 15% grade.
That is a brutal analogy, but it's so accurate.
Right. So my question for you is, if the baseline cost to just exist in a home is eating up the lion's share of that six-figure salary, doesn't that immediately pop the 100K bubble?
It completely shatters the illusion. If we connect this to the bigger picture, housing and inflation are not just, line items on a budget spreadsheet.
They're the whole game.
Right. They are the overarching macroeconomic context of our era. Historically, a six-figure salary gave you immense purchasing power.
Right. You could buy a lot of house for that.
Exactly. But inflation works invisibly. It hollows out the purchasing power of that $100,000 from the inside.
So the number looks the same.
Right. You still see the same six-figure number on your W-2, so your brain tells you that you are wealthy. But functionally, the dollars you are taking home simply do not command the same resources they did 10 or 20 years ago.
I want to break down what that macroeconomic context actually looks like in everyday life.
Yeah, let's do the math.
Because 10 or 15 years ago, a $100,000 salary meant your mortgage was maybe 25% of your take-home pay.
Very manageable.
Yeah. But today, depending on the city you live in, that same quality of house might devour 40 or even 50% of your net income.
Which is staggering.
The math fundamentally breaks the traditional budget before you even buy a gallon of milk.
It does. The cost of shelter is completely detached from historical wage growth.
Yeah.
When you finally hit that six-figure mark, society, and honestly often your own internal barometer, tells you that you should be moving out of the cramped apartment.
You feel like you earned the house.
Right. You want a home that reflects your new professional status.
Right.
But because housing costs are so extraordinarily high, making that move consumes an unprecedented percentage of your cash flow.
So the trap is that you're committing yesterday's idealized financial milestones to today's inflated economic reality.
Perfectly said. Before you have even made a single discretionary purchase, the lion's share of your wealth is already spoken for, just to keep a roof over your head.
And that lack of liquid cash forces a massive behavioral shift.
Has to.
Because if housing and baseline inflation are devouring the paycheck, just functioning in society, like getting to work, buying groceries, sustaining the rest of your life,
You need a way to pay for it all,
right, it requires something else entirely. It requires borrowing.
which builds the second layer of this trap, the infrastructure of debt.
Yeah, when the cash is gone, the credit systems just step right in to fill the void.
And the most visible symptom of this is massive car payments.
Okay, now I want to pause and push back on this a little bit, or at least pose a question for you to consider.
Sure, go ahead.
When we talk about high earners being trapped by massive $1,000 a month auto loans, isn't that just a lack of financial discipline?
You mean people just buying too much car?
Yeah, I mean, nobody is forcing you to buy a luxury SUV. At some point, doesn't the responsibility fall on individual ego-driven choices rather than some, unavoidable trap?
I get that. It is really tempting to write it off as pure ego. But the reality is a much more complex collision of geography, professional expectations, and modern lending practices.
Okay, walk me through that.
Well, think about those high housing costs we just talked about. They push people geographically further from economic centers.
Oh, so they move out to the distant suburbs to find a home they can actually afford.
Exactly. Which transforms a car from a luxury into critical infrastructure for daily life. You physically have to commute to earn the six figures.
Okay, that makes sense.
But because you earn six figures, there is a heavy, often unspoken expectation about how you present yourself.
Right, the vehicle becomes an extension of the professional identity.
Exactly.
You're a director now or senior manager. You feel like you can't pull into the executive parking lot driving a rusty, unreliable 20-year-old sedan.
The professional pressure is very real. So you finance a newer, much more expensive vehicle.
And cars are so expensive now.
They are. But here is where the structural trap really bites. Cars have gotten incredibly expensive, and to make the monthly payments seem palatable, lenders have stretched loan terms out.
Oh, from like 48 months out to 72 or even 84 months.
Right, so you end up underwater on a rapidly depreciating asset. Now you have a massive housing cost and a massive prolonged transportation cost.
And that combination completely chokes your monthly cash flow.
It leaves nothing left over.
Which brings us to the most dangerous bridge in modern finance, credit card debt.
Oh, yes.
If your salary is tied up in a massive mortgage and a bloated auto loan, you don't actually have liquid cash left for daily life.
No, you don't.
But your brain still thinks, I make $100,000, I shouldn't have to stress about buying groceries or paying for a sudden dental bill.
What's fascinating here is how credit card debt functions for high earners.
How so?
Well, it isn't usually about someone deciding to be financially reckless and taking a spontaneous trip to Vegas.
Right, it's not party money.
No. For the six-figure earner, credit card debt is almost entirely a symptom of trying to maintain the illusion of a six-figure lifestyle when the actual cash is already gone.
Wow.
Use the credit card to bridge the cognitive dissonance between what you earn and what you can actually afford.
Cognitive dissonance is the perfect term for it.
It really is.
It's the psychological discomfort of knowing you are a top earner, but feeling the panic of a declined debit card.
Exactly.
So you swipe the credit card to avoid the psychological pain of feeling poor.
And the trap closes tightly because of compounding interest.
Oh, those interest rates are brutal.
A $10,000 balance at 24% interest is catastrophic.
Yeah.
High earners often fall into the psychological trap of thinking, I'll just pay off the balance when I get my annual bonus.
But they don't, do they?
No. By the time the bonus arrives, lifestyle costs have absorbed it, and they are stuck making minimum payments that barely cover the interest generated that month.
Financing the gap between expectation and reality is just exhausting.
It is draining.
And that shifts us perfectly from the external economic pressures to the internal psychological ones.
The behavioral side.
Right. What actually happens in your mind when your paycheck goes up? The source material refers to this as lifestyle inflation. To me, this is the goldfish effect.
Oh, the goldfish effect is a brilliant way to conceptualize it.
You know how they say a goldfish will grow to the size of its bowl?
Yeah.
If you keep it in a little cup, it stays tiny. You put it in a massive aquarium, it gets huge.
Right.
Our spending habits operate on the exact same biological principle. When people hit that $100,000 mark, their spending naturally and often completely unconsciously expands to fill their new income.
The bowl gets bigger, so the spending gets bigger.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. We rarely even realize it is happening.
Well, the blindness to our own lifestyle inflation is a feature not a bug, of human psychology.
What do you mean?
Earning a higher salary usually requires immense sustained effort. It means years of education, working 60 to 80 hours a week, and taking on significantly more stress and responsibility at work.
Yeah, it's a grind.
Because you are outputting all of this effort, your brain demands a corresponding reward.
Oh, it's the burnout cycle.
Exactly.
Like, I worked 14 hours today. I am too exhausted to cook. I deserve to order the expensive takeout.
I deserve the premium groceries.
Yeah.
I deserve the direct flight instead of the layover.
Yes.
What happens is that your baseline for what constitutes a necessity magically expands to absorb the surplus income.
That is so true.
Suddenly, a $200 a month gym membership isn't a luxury. It's a critical investment in your health so you can keep working those long hours.
Right. Or upgrading your wardrobe isn't a splurge, it's a requirement for your career trajectory.
Exactly. The luxuries put on a disguise and quietly sneak into the needs column of your budget.
Oh man, I used to pack a lunch every day. Then I got a raise, and suddenly a $15 salad felt like a perfectly reasonable daily operating expense.
We all do it. And that subtle recategorization completely neutralizes the higher salary.
It just wipes it out.
Think about the mathematical reality of this. If your income goes up by 20%, but your subconscious definition of a baseline acceptable lifestyle also goes up by 20%,
And it's zero.
your actual wealth generation is zero. You're just cycling more money through the system without capturing any of it in savings or investments.
You're just a bigger goldfish in a bigger bowl.
Exactly.
But you are still fundamentally trapped in the bowl. That is so insidious because it feels like success.
It does.
You are buying nicer things, eating at nicer places, so it feels like you are doing the right things.
But you aren't actually building wealth.
Right. But lifestyle inflation isn't just about the big visible purchases anymore. It's not just the car or the organic groceries.
No, it's much more subtle now.
Today, the trap is sprung right in our pockets, on our phones, in tiny microscopic increments.
The digitization of the poverty trap.
Yes, the modern microdrains. The source material points specifically to the rise of subscriptions.
They are everywhere.
And it is wild to think about a six-figure salary dying by $1,014.99 cuts.
It really is.
I mean, 10 or 15 years ago, you had a cable bill and maybe a gym membership. Now, you have 5 different streaming services, an ad-free music subscription, a meal kit delivery service,
A fitness app, a meditation app.
cloud storage for your photos, premium shipping memberships. The list is endless.
And the danger lies in the frictionless architecture of the subscription model.
Frictionless architecture. I like that.
Well, behavioral economics tells us that handing over physical cash triggers a mild pain response in the brain.
Right. It hurts to part with a $20 bill.
Exactly. It makes you pause and evaluate the purchase. Subscriptions completely bypass that psychological friction.
Because you don't even see it happening.
You set it up once, and it automatically withdraws every single month. And they're meticulously priced to be just cheap enough that you don't bother going through the hassle of canceling them.
Oh, it's the I might use it next month rationalization.
Yes, exactly.
But collectively, those dozen different subscriptions act like a massive invisible leak in your financial hull.
They really do.
But subscriptions are only half of the modern equation. The other half, and arguably the much more dangerous psychological half, is social media spending pressure.
Oh, wow, yes. This raises an important question about how our environment has fundamentally altered our financial perception.
How do you mean?
Well, keeping up with the Joneses is an old concept, but social media has completely weaponized it.
It has turned it into a 24/7 high-definition Olympic sport.
It has.
You aren't just looking over the physical fence and comparing your lawnmower to your neighbor's lawnmower anymore.
So the scale is totally different.
You are comparing your daily life to a highly curated, algorithmically optimized feed of global luxury.
And that is the key. Historically, your reference group, the people you compared yourself to, were the people who lived in your immediate physical community.
Right, the people on your street.
Exactly. If you earned $100,000, you might look around your physical neighborhood and feel quite secure, quite successful.
Yeah, you'd feel like you're doing great.
But when you open your phone, the algorithm isn't showing you your neighbor.
No, it's feeding you influencers in Dubai.
Friends on extravagant European vacations and hyper-aesthetic $500,000 home renovations.
And your brain, completely bypassing logic, just absorbs that as the new baseline.
It normalizes the extreme.
You think everyone else seems to be living this incredible lifestyle. I make a great salary. Why aren't I living this lifestyle?
And it creates this profound sense of inadequacy.
It really does.
Social media fundamentally alters your perception of what a normal 100K life looks like. It creates this immense constant pressure to spend money just to maintain a facade. You feel compelled to buy the aesthetic pantry organizers,
A trendy minimalist clothes.
the photogenic vacations, just to feel like you are keeping pace with your peers.
It's exhausting.
The platform weaponizes your innate human desire for social belonging and turns it into an endless series of spending triggers.
It's exhausting just thinking about the sheer volume of pressure coming at you.
It's coming from everywhere.
You are fighting massive macroeconomic forces like inflation and the housing crisis. You're fighting the structural debt of the modern commute.
A credit card gap.
Yeah, you are fighting your own internal psychology and the goldfish effect. And then you are fighting an algorithm engineered by tech geniuses, specifically designed to make you feel like you never have quite enough.
Which is the exact anatomy of the trap.
Yeah.
The $100,000 salary feels like it vanishes into thin air because it is under coordinated assault from every conceivable angle, macro and micro.
So what does this all mean?
That's the big question.
We've looked at the trap from top to bottom. Earning $100,000 is still a massive achievement.
Absolutely.
You have to work incredibly hard to get there, and that should be celebrated. But what the six-figure poverty trap reveals is that this number is no longer a magical shield.
No, it doesn't automatically protect you from financial stress.
Between the macro pressures of stealth inflation and skyrocketing housing, the structured debt of car payments and compounding credit cards.
The behavioral conditioning of lifestyle inflation.
Right. And frictionless subscriptions and algorithmic social media pressure, the money simply evaporates.
But understanding this architecture is deeply empowering.
How so?
Well, for everyone listening, recognizing these specific invisible mechanisms is the critical first step to stepping outside of them.
Okay.
When you understand that housing and inflation are mathematically squeezing your baseline, you can make radically different choices about where and how you live, rather than just accepting the default societal path.
Right.
When you see how credit cards are masking the cognitive dissonance, you can choose to face the gap and adjust your spending.
Face reality.
Exactly. When you realize that social media is distorting your view of reality, you can actively curate your inputs. Awareness is the only way to dismantle the trap.
You have to see the tripwires to avoid them.
Precisely.
You can't just blindly trust the number on your W-2 to save you anymore. It brings me back to that image of the treadmill we talked about at the beginning.
Yeah, running just to stay in place.
If a specific number, like $100,000, can no longer guarantee financial peace of mind because our modern environment will always adapt to drain it,
Which it will.
then what does actual financial security look like?
That's a great thought.
Is it just forever chasing a bigger number in a bank account? Or is it cultivating an entirely different relationship with how we define the concept of enough?
A completely different mindset.
Think about that the next time you step on the treadmill. Until next time.